If you want some trivia about Zacian and Zamazenta, Zacian is Zamazenta's older sister.
Really?
They confirmed that in the Pokedex. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's very helpful information.
To anyone curious.
You're tuned into the GOCast podcast, your one-stop shop for updates, news, tips, and community in the world of Pokemon Go. Thank you for listening.
Who says you can't teach an old dog new tricks?
Better bathrooms at GoFest? Sign me up.
And more on this episode of GOCast. Hello and welcome to the GOCast podcast, episode 324. I'm your host, Chris. And not as always, but it has been kind of frequent recently, I suppose. I'm joined by not Kyle this week, but I've got a co-host, a podcaster, so he'll fit right in. He has in the past. It's Steve from It's Super Effective. Hey, Steve, how's it going?
Hello. We should just merge our shows at this point.
Yeah, I know. Just like a addendum at the end of each of them, just like, yeah, part of, yeah, for real. Well, yeah, I do think it's a little bit strange that this happened to work out after I was just on your show, but thanks for filling in. Kyle's busy. I think he's at a wedding today. And then when we were talking about recording on Tuesday, there was literally nothing to talk about. So we talked about later and it just didn't work out. So this is perfect. So this episode will be a little bit different than listeners are usually used to. You know, we have a structure here, we have sections and stuff like that. But I think in this one, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about just the recent news and happenings in the Go space, and kind of have an expanding conversation on that, probably a little bit more than we would normally on the other shows, because we got stuff to do. Normally
got stuff to do.
So yes, if you guys would like to keep submitting answers to the Poke Poll from last week, you can. We'll still take answers from that. Send in your emails, your voicemails, all that good stuff. I'll compile it. I saw several already, so we'll talk about that next week. And then I guess we'll do goals again next week too. But let's talk about goals really quick, because this is a good opportunity. Normally Kyle and I set some goals each week. You're familiar. And then we check in and we talk about it. But I'll save those because I didn't do half of them. I'll save those for next week with Kyle. But what have you been up to in Go recently? It's been kind of an interesting game this year.
I've said this on my podcast, and I think I said it when we were at Unova Tour. I think if it wasn't for the sale to Scopely, I think people would be a little more positive this year with Niantic.
Mm-hmm.
Like even the topics we're going to talk about today all seem good.
Yeah. One of them I think has a nuance to it where it could potentially be a little bad, and I'm eager to talk to you about it. I am, but I think that's a good take. They took a lot of hate the past few years, but this year's been kind of up and up.
Yeah, it's almost like it almost feels like they went into this year with like a very solid game plan, and I don't know whether that game plan involved being sold. But like when I think about, are they just trying to get money out of us before this deal finalizes? If they were just trying to get money out of us, they would have done Rayquaza in raids. They would have done Mewtwo in raids. Yeah. There's easy ways for them to milk us, and they aren't doing that yet.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they could just be setting the stage for that in the future, but that's all hearsay. Yeah, I think what has been laid before us and then also behind us has been pretty good. I think I've brought this up on your show, and I know I've talked about it on my show, but the biggest thing for me has been that like path to acquisition of debut Pokemon has been a lot more lax. Like if it's in eggs, it's also in the wild, or like also in research tasks, right? If a new Pokemon comes out. Or if it's in raids, it's also in a very small pool in a 2-kilometer egg or something like that. Like they've been pretty good about that. But the frequency at which they make ticketed versions of, access to an event has not gone down. And I remember when they first started really pushing tickets for things, And the Galarian Mr. Mime research aside, because that was a little bit different, and the Keldea research aside too. Just put those away for a sec. There was so much discussion about them being greedy by offering these things and like weaponizing FOMO and stuff like that. But now that it's been normalized, like every single event, if you don't see a ticket, that's weird, right?
I think it's been normalized not only in Pokemon Go, but just in this like other non-Pokemon mobile games. I think it's been normalized.
Yeah. Okay. In what way? Because Go is my home base, right? So
yeah. So I think it's really easy to download a free-to-play game and for them to have like a $2 welcome bundle, or to have, hey, this event is happening, it's $3.
Right.
So I think a take I see often online is these ticketed events are here because Niantic needs to make up money from the remote raid situation that they did to themselves. And I think these ticketed events would have happened regardless of the remote raid situation, because I think they're getting money from different players through these tickets.
Yeah.
Like you're assuming that people who are doing 15 to 20 raids a day are also going to buy $1 ticket. It's possible. There's probably an overlap there, but I feel like I'm more in the camp of, yeah, I'm going out this weekend, I'll spend $1, versus somebody invited me to Crown Nidoking last night, and I was like, Crown Nidoking itself is not worth $2. No, thank you.
I disagree with you on that, by the way. At least until I get a shiny, I still haven't. I've done like I think 10 of those, which is embarrassing to say out loud. But I think this is a good demonstration of what the thing I was just about to say was, that it kind of depends on how well your muscle of, oh, it's just $1, I don't consider that real money, in the back of your head, how good you are about managing that, I think personal responsibility, as far as fiscal decisions go with this game, has never been more important than it is right now, because of all the options we have, which are inherently good. But if you can't control yourself, it's kind of a rough scenario.
Yeah, and I think it's very easy for a player to get out of control with remote raids.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank goodness they just increased the cap then, so that we can have more spirited discussions about that in the future. That very same topic. Have you done a Shadow remote raid yet? Because right now, I think for both of us, right now is in the middle of that Shadow Regigigas event.
I was invited to one at about midnight last night. It was Regigigas, and I said no. I don't think Regigigas is worth $2.
Wow. Okay, but it could have been shiny. Could have been the whole thing. Yeah. I did 4 of them. Other end of the spectrum.
So you're up to $8 in Regigigas.
Yeah, I'm never gonna use them. One of them was to be fair, one of them was a 15-15-13, which I'm thrilled about. That's as good as it's gonna get for me.
Mm-hmm. If you purify it, it's 100%.
I would never do that. Let me be clear on the record. I would never do that. Where do you fall on the purification thing? Because we have so many different opinions. It's like I'm obligated, or I want the hundo, but I don't care about the booze. Like, where are you at?
I love the hundo.
Okay,
I love the hundo. That's the complete sentence. Like, right. If it's the hundo to me is more satisfying, I think, than like a 14-14-14 Shadow. Now I do have a 14-15-15 Shadow Mewtwo.
And you're keeping it Shadow.
It's been Shadows for it was the first Shadow Mewtwo that ever came from that Go. So
cool.
So, and it's been Shadow since. And I have caught more Shadow Mewtwo since then, where I think I did catch like a 13-13-13, and then I did purify that because I was like, I have the other Shadow. But I had like a 13-13-13 Metagross, and I purified it. Now it's a hundo. But then I also have a Shadow 14, 14, 15 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But to me, like, one, I like the hundo, but also I can't mega evolve the shadow. So when the mega comes, now I have a hundo Metagross to go off of.
That's true. And I guess you can't really deny that the mega is stronger than even a perfect shadow, right?
Yeah, I think number wise the mega is stronger.
Yeah, it's across the board. I don't know. There's something about the principle of it for me, like having a 15, 15, 13 shadow. If I purify that, first of all, of the 6 potential points of increase for the IV that I'd be getting otherwise, I'm only getting 2. So that makes my brain upset right there.
Yeah.
Like I want no part of that decision-making process whatsoever. Right. But to me, I also just don't like purified Pokemon. I don't know what it is. Like Lachlan from the interview show, he calls them pundos when they're purified hundos. And even the short, cute phrase for it makes my skin crawl. I just don't care for it.
I don't think I like that word.
No, you don't like pundo? It does sound derogatory a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I think I'm very into, I think also with when the deck's updated and you can see like, oh, I got a big Mewtwo, I got a small Mewtwo, I have a lucky Mewtwo, I have a shiny Mewtwo. Yeah. There's that spot for like a hundo Mewtwo. And like I don't have a hundo Mewtwo yet.
Yeah.
And when they do release Mega Mewtwo, I can't Mega the Shadow. I would like to Mega a hundo, but I don't have one yet.
That's very true. I will accept the Mega argument. I will. I think that's a good one. But in every other scenario, I'm going to stick to my guns. And Shadow is superior. I know that they're in pain or whatever, right? But life is pain.
Suffering.
Yeah, that's whatever. That's fine. Suffering builds character. It's fine. It's okay.
I think a bigger conversation is I don't really care about shadows. Like I would rather have like an X, like a jumbo shiny than a shadow shiny.
Really?
Like number wise, it's more rare.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless there's like an event boosting big.
Which we have frequently, much to my storage's chagrin.
I think I did care about shadows until the level 44 to 45, or was it 45 to 46, where you have to battle like 400 Team Rocket girls.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And then I think I stopped caring.
Yeah, pour one out.
That was it for me.
I think we all lost a piece of ourselves at that stage for sure. That and the GBL one, for some of us, that was like pulling teeth. Not a big fan.
I feel like I could also maybe make the argument that they rolled out shadows too fast. Like at the beginning, I felt like you could keep up with it. Like, oh, okay, 6 shadows, 3 are behind leaders, 3 are behind rock grunts or whatever, and you could kind of like do it and keep up. But
yeah, I think it's also partly because for me, I would agree with that, but also it's like super unclear. They're like, oh, they'll have new Pokemon, and then you have to rely on somebody else to make like a graphic or something for you to reference to figure out exactly what the changes were. Yeah. Instead of going out with a clear goal from the get-go, knowing this week I have to get X and X, right?
Right. Like I don't even know what shadows are available.
I couldn't tell you either. No, which is crazy because we both talk about this game every week and play this game every day. Yeah.
Like if I wanted a Shadow Ducklet, not in the game.
I thought it. Are you sure?
Think it was at one point, but I don't think a Grunt has it right now.
I don't think so. I think it's out of rotation. Yeah.
Right.
Which is a crime.
Yeah.
That's a crime. Yeah. I understand. Okay. All right. This is great, but we got so much stuff to talk about in the news. I think we should probably skip over into that. So without further ado. Yo, what up? It's the news. Okay, so we've got 3 things to talk about here. We've got a new feature that we both have looked at but have not done. We covered that. We haven't messed with it. We have some more information about the big dogs, not just the little dogs, but they're getting big. And then something that will either make you really excited or Or if you're an open-minded person like me, it might make you a little upset about a new addition to the experience for GoFest. But let's talk first of all about unleash the power of Zacian and Zamazenta with new crowned sword and crowned shield energy. We have had the bait. What are they called again? The something hero, right? Forms, the ones we've had before.
Oh, the hero forms and the crown forms.
Hero forms, yes, yes. Those are the ones we've had so far. And if you've ever looked at those Pokemon and you've never seen them in their gussied up versions, right? You might look at those legendaries and go, "Wow, those sure are lackluster," and I don't really care all that much. I mean, they're dogs, and that's great, but what's the big deal? This is the big deal because with their crown forms, they are gorgeous Pokemon. Absolutely. So let's talk about this really quick. Trainers, the warrior Pokemon Zacian and Zamazenta will reach whole new levels of power starting at Pokemon Go Fest 2025. For the first time in Pokemon Go, Zacian and Zamazenta will be able to change into their crowned sword and crowned shield forms. In these forms, they will learn their signature moves: Behemoth Blade for crowned sword Zacian and Behemoth Bash for crowned shield Zamazenta. Get ready to use these powerful, offensive, yada, yada. They just talk about how great they are, which is true. So those debuts, they're pretty great. Yep. Okay, let's take a look here about the energy itself. Crowned sword energy and crowned shield energy are very rare sources of power that can transform Zacian and Zamazenta into more formidable forms. This is not news to us. We have several versions of this system in game, just under different names. So I don't think that's all that different. Change Pokemon forms with enough energy. They can with enough crowned sword energy. They're given a very specific example first. A Zacian that knows the charged attack Iron Head can be transformed to become crowned sword Zacian, and with enough crowned shield energy, a Zamazenta by the very same that also knows Iron Head can be transformed into crowned shield Zamazenta. It will cost 1,000 of their respective energy in order to do that change. And it doesn't say that they're going to deform. So I think it'll be very similar to our Necrozma fusion.
Or
so they just
Reshiram.
get to stay. Or Reshiram. Yep. They just get to stay. They talk about the featured attacks. There's some cute animations here in the article, which will be linked in the show notes. It looks great. And then you can unleash them in max battles. It says, in addition to learning their signature moves, crowned sword Zacian and crowned shield Zamazenta will have the exclusive ability to join max battles despite not being able to Dynamax or Gigantamax. Slippery slope here, man. Just let everybody in. Trainers,
that's how it works in the main games too.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right, that works out.
Yeah, they can't.
Trainers can use these Pokemon in max battles with their powerful signature moves, take on max Pokemon. Pretty straightforward. And then this is all going down first at GoFest 2025. So if you're not going to an in-person event and this is your first year playing the game at Global, you'll probably get access to this. I put money on that for sure. Okay, so Steve, since you've played many other games and stuff like that, yeah, can you kind of give us a vibe check on the crown forms of Zacian and Zamazenta, because they were the box legendaries for Sword and Shield.
Yep.
And people like them. I just feel like people never talk about them.
I feel like they're very talked about competitively, because competitively they're very good.
Okay.
So in the main series games, Zacian and Zamazenta cannot Dynamax. They have no ability to Dynamax, but their signature moves do double damage to Dynamax Pokemon. So that is, at least in Pokemon Go, lore accurate. I don't know if anywhere Niantic says that these will do more damage. I'm sure they technically would do more damage against Dynamax Pokemon. That's what it's supposed to do. So like Zacian was very dominant in the Sword and Shield era of competitive Pokemon when it was legal, because somebody's going to Dynamax, and then Zacian's Behemoth Blade would do 200 base damage instead of 100 base damage to that Dynamax Pokemon. And if you didn't Dynamax, you're still getting hit by 100 base damage stab Zacian with a very, very high attack. So regardless of whether you Dynamaxed or not, Zacian would do a lot of damage. Zamazenta in Sword and Shield was not used as much, but in Scarlet and Violet, they gave Zamazenta body press. So now Zamazenta is relatively very good competitively. Maybe not the best competitively, but it had moments throughout the tournament season where it was outperforming Zacian. And also Zacian doesn't have any Pokemon to Dynamax against because there is no Dynamax in Scarlet and Violet. So that kind of nerfed Zacian to begin with. But long story short, this is accurate to the main series lore of how these two Pokemon work.
Yeah, in the article here, I think there's a little portion that I didn't say the first time, but it does say that you will be able to level up Behemoth Blade and Behemoth Bash to do more damage in max battles, just like other max attacks. So I'm assuming that they'll have a little drop down menu on their page, and it probably would take Candy and Max Particles if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Oh, they can also unlock Guard and Spirit moves to use in max battles as well. Trainers who unlock Guard on their Crown Shield Zamazenta may see another power of the Warrior Pokemon, so maybe it has an improved shield as well. That'd be kind of wild. I do like the lore building here. That is kind of nice. I like that.
And then they say they both need Zacian and Zamazenta to know Iron Head. That's accurate to the game too. In order to get Behemoth Blade in Scarlet and Violet, you need Iron Head on your Zacian.
Okay. And for Zamazenta, is that true too of the other thing?
Yeah, but no one ever used Behemoth Bash.
Okay, yeah.
But that is accurate to how Behemoth Bash works. Most people just use body press. So
sure.
Zamazenta was more like wide guard, body press, stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, I suppose I'm not too plugged into competitive, so I suppose that's probably why I didn't hear about it too much. But yeah, I remember loving the designs of these Pokemon, and then just like by the time I got to them in Sword and Shield, I think maybe I was just done, and I just didn't like get to use them that much.
Yeah, I guess the rumor, or not the rumor, I guess the speculation would be, you fight Gigantamax Eternatus in Sword and Shield, right? That's when Zamazenta and Zacian join you for the spoiler for the story of Sword and Shield. You fight the giant hand that is Eternatus, and that Pokemon was never like released outside of the game. So I guess the speculation would be, is Pokemon Go going to let us fight Gigantamax Eternatus at one point with 40 people?
Yeah.
And then if we catch it, are we just going to fight a normal Eternatus, not Gigantamax? That doesn't seem that exciting. Or if like Eternatus comes to raids, that doesn't, like a normal like 5-star raid, that doesn't seem like lore accurate. It would feel like it would be lore accurate to fight the giant hand version of Eternatus, and then it shrinks, and then you catch Eternatus normal. Whether or not you can Gigantamax it yourself, I guess that's a whole different story. But
yeah, that sort of begs the question of then, like, is it then a Gigantamax raid if you're not catching it, and then or if you do catch it, will it be a Gigantamaxable but you can't do it? Like, yeah, I don't know. That is a good question.
Yeah, because Eternatus you can also not Dynamax or Gigantamax in Sword and Shield.
Yeah,
it just exists. It's
it's
just a weird skeleton dragon.
Yeah, it's probably just a special case through and through. Then they probably wouldn't try to,
But we'd have to get it eventually for the decks. So
yeah. I'm not saying they're not going to give us a Pokemon. I'm just saying it'll probably resemble a Gigantamax raid, but when you catch it, it just won't be a Dynamax Pokemon.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
They want to really make money or do something crazy like that.
I don't know. That's sort of getting to a core of like a Pokemon identity. Like, I don't think Pokemon Company would be okay with them doing that.
Yeah. Well, how many years has it been with Arceus, and they don't even know what they're doing with Arceus?
Here, what my theory is that, and part of me wants this to happen because I love it when things are terrible. I think it's so funny. I think they know what they want to do with Arceus, But I think it is just so boring that they are not ready to pull the trigger on it, because it was just going to be like, do you remember that? Do you remember that year? This was like 2019 or 2018 or something like that, where we had the Reggies all year. It's just like they were in rotation and raids for like, it felt like forever. That's what I think the experience with Arceus is going to be. I think it's going to be here's the version of it with this one plate. Here's another version of it with this one plate. And we're just going to see that in raids forever.
Yep.
Because the other option is a really nice, beautifully designed UI thing where it's got a form and change, but it has, you press on the button and a radial pops out and you can pick which one you want. And you have to catch a certain number of whatever to unlock a certain element or something like that to get the plate. Like, I don't think they're going to do all that.
Wait, have you guys talked about Savali on this show?
No, not really. I never remember that Pokemon exists.
Yeah, because Savali is just a lab version created Arceus. It's just a budget Arceus. It has the same plate system as Arceus, except it's just CDs instead of plates. But it also has like, how are they going to? Are they just going to put like, it's Bug Savali this week? Okay, cool. Now it's Electric Savali, and now it's Fairy Savali.
I can see the headline now on a Pokemon Go article, because they would be so bold as to put it in the same article. It would be like, get ready for the upcoming release of Savali with its first featured plate or CD of fire type. Also, we're increasing Pokemon storage by 3,000 spots.
Yeah, like I think they got away with it with Deoxys, because Deoxys only has 4 forms. Yeah. It looks visually different. You got the SpongeBob form, you got the fast form, you got the normal form. And then when they did it for Genesect, I was like, you're really stretching it here. Most people can't even see the CD drive on the back of Genesect's head.
No, not at all. No. Yeah, I have to label mine because I was tired of spinning them around,
Yeah.
And I love Genesect, but it definitely did overstay its welcome a little bit. But yeah, I can't imagine them doing it for every single type. I didn't even consider Savali at all. They'd have to do it twice. And
Type Null evolved into Savali, so now you have another issue of like, what are you going to do with its pre-evolution?
I would imagine Type Null would probably be a seasonal story sort of thing, kind of like how Kung Fu was. But I still don't see a solution for the type problem. That's so strange.
Yeah, it's not great.
Wow, you've somehow made this worse in my head because I completely forgot about that other Pokemon.
If you want some trivia about Zacian and Zamazenta, Zacian is Zamazenta's older sister.
Really?
They confirmed that in the Pokedex. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's very helpful information.
To anyone curious. They're brother and sister, and Zacian is older.
That's cute. Wait, so if they're brother and sister, but they're the same species of Pokemon then, right?
Are they? I think they're both known as the hero Pokemon.
Are Latios and Latias related? In the same way? Are they?
That's you're putting me on the spot. I don't think Latios and Latias are brother and sister.
It's an aunt and nephew scenario over there, Chris. You've got it all backwards.
Zacian they're both known as the warrior Pokemon.
Warrior Pokemon, that's their category, yeah.
Yeah, that's their category. I've always considered Latios and Latias lovers.
Oh, spicy take.
Because they always form like hearts together with like their TCG cards and stuff.
I never, who knows how much of that's marketing. What do Latios and Latias really want? That's what I want to know.
Yeah,
I want like the interview, like Cribs style. Let me just get
Ash does kiss a Latias in the anime.
He does.
It's
true. Just like my fan fiction. All
right. I don't think that I see nothing about brothers and sisters. Maybe your audience might know. Yeah,
we're in the clear, guys. We don't have to. You don't have to be skeeved out by that. By the weird art on your cards. Now they're not related. It's all good. Okay.
I'm glad I was able to share that Zamazenta Zacian fact.
I appreciate that. I mean, look what it led to. This is a lot of personal discovery right now. Okay, we're gonna take a quick little break here, and then when we get back, we're gonna be talking about the RSVP Planner and Premier Access, an add-on for the GoFest experience. Be right back. All right, welcome back. So we're going to talk about the RSVP Planner and the Premier Access add-on, but the RSVP Planner first. When I see RSVP Planner written out, to me it almost feels like saying it out loud feels like saying ATM machine.
Yes,
but I don't think that P actually stands for planner. I don't know what RSVP stands for. Is that am I alone in this?
I don't know what it stands for either.
Okay, I'm just gonna look that up right now because that's gonna drive me crazy. That is a French phrase that I'm not going to attempt to say out loud.
Oh, okay.
It's an initialism of a French phrase. No, I'm not even gonna try. Apparently, directly it means respond if you please. Great. Anyway.
Okay.
Trainers, the new RSVP Planner feature is coming to Pokemon Go on Thursday, May 15th at 10 p.m. PDT. This was 2 days ago, so it's live. This feature will help trainers coordinate raids with friends, family, and all other trainers in their community and around the world. So the RSVP Planner lets trainers see on the map when and where other trainers are planning to participate in upcoming raids. Trainers can select an upcoming raid to see more detailed RSVP information like time slots, invites, reminders, and participants. It can even help you navigate to your planned raid. Sounds pretty full-featured. The RSVP Planner allows trainers to schedule their raids as soon as a raid egg appears at a gym. Trainers can even see how many fellow trainers have RSVP'd for a specific raid at a certain time slot. They'll be able to review the raids that they have RSVP'd for, discover additional nearby raids to RSVP for, and receive reminders for their scheduled raid times. Boy, there's going to be somebody out there who's going to eat this feature alive, like somebody who's way more organized than I am in their life. Trainers can also invite up to 5 fellow trainers from anywhere in the world to join their time slot for their scheduled raid. This also includes shadow raids. That's just them plugging remote raids into it, so it's pretty cool. And then they have a list of exciting events where you might want to try out the RSVP Planner in the article, which is very cute. They're like, by the way, here's an optimum time for you to try out our new feature. Please do. Please do this. So, Steve, you and I have seen this in game. Yeah. We've looked at it with our eyeballs. But I have not used my tippy taps to actually do the thing.
That would involve leaving the house. I don't want to, I can look at it, but I don't want to commit because that means I have to leave my house.
I mean, I guess you don't have to, right? You could remote to it and just RSVP when that is going to happen.
That's true. Then I'm giving Niantic more money.
Yeah.
No, I think this feature is really cool. I don't think Shadow Regigigas or Mesprit, Uxie, and Azelf are exciting.
Yeah.
Where I want to go out. But I think this feature will be really popular or really impactful, I should say, for people who live in specific areas, but not necessarily big areas, because I think it's easy to break down Pokemon Go of like you live in a big city, so the game is better for you, which is like objectively true. But I think of like somebody who lives in like an apartment building, and if a raid starts in 45 minutes, they can RSVP. And if they're in a really popular apartment building and the raid is on top of the apartment building, that's super great for everyone else in the apartment building to be like, I don't have to leave my house. And I know in 45 minutes, 5 people also in this apartment building are about to do this raid.
Yeah.
And if you don't live in an apartment building and you don't live on a raid, you probably have never experienced that. But I know people listening to the show who live in apartment buildings. They are blessed to be on top of a gym and have probably a handful of people in that apartment do raids. But now you can know that, okay, everyone's going to show up at this time and none of us have to leave our bed, but we're still doing it locally.
Yeah, I remember when all of us were not max level and we were all still playing, And there were periods of time when I would go downtown with like a group of like 2 or 3 people, and it wasn't during an event, and it wasn't like the day that a new raid came out. This was like a week after, and the raid was still at that, the new 5-star was still in there, and me and my friends needed to go get it, but we couldn't do it with just the 3 of us. And the common phrase for us was always, if you're gonna get a group to do a thing, you got to be there at hatch. At hatch was always the go-to. Not 10 minutes after, there wasn't another standard. If your best chance to find people that were also interested in that raid was being there at hatch every single time. And you didn't know whether or not there were going to be people there when you were there at hatch, right? And sometimes you were just out of luck, right? And this helps solve that, at least the mystery of whether or not people are going to be there. You might still very well be out of luck.
Yeah.
But with, it's a world of remote raids now, especially with the increase for the limit. So yeah, I think this is so good that it's almost unforgivably overdue.
Yeah, I think, I don't want to speak for a lot of people, but if I'm sitting in my house, I can see a lot of Regigigas right now. I can see 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I can see 13 Regigigas from my house.
Okay.
And then that's not including, I can see Charmander, Chansey, 2 Ghastlies, a Phalanx, another Chansey, another Phalanx, another Phalanx. I can see quite a bit from my house. Unfortunately, I'm
gyms
there. Yeah, these are all gyms I can see.
Wow.
A couple power spots, I guess, if you're considering the Ghastlies. And so, but in my house, on my neighborhood, there's no stops, there's no gyms. So the closest one to me is a block away. So I just have to walk across the street and I can reach the Ghastly. I would be more compelled to leave my house if I saw 5 people are doing this gym in 30 minutes and that's an 8-minute walk from my house. I would 100% do that walk.
Yeah.
I would turn on my adventure incense. I would do the walk. I would get there a little early and then I would do it. And I think a lot of people would do that. I think because this game has been out for almost 9 years, I am sure there's a bunch of people who tried to walk to a park, hoped that people were there. No one was there. How many times did they try that before they were like, no one plays?
Dead game.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. And this is almost like an extension of the conversation we were having on your show last week about trying and failing at some sort of feature. In that case, it was talking about max battles and whether or not it was clear why you failed, right? And if that frustration of not knowing why you failed was enough to make you be a one and done and never come back to the feature, right? And the same would have been here too for regular raid culture. If you show up at this thing like at hatch, like I was saying before, and people aren't there, eventually you just stop trying, right? So this eliminates that fail state of somebody being just completely disenfranchised with something, because there is more clarity in how to do it right and be successful.
Yeah, I think for me too, because I travel a lot and I always forget in the moment that campfire is a thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think this is like kind of an extension of campfire, but inside the game. Because at campfire, you can say like, I'm here. But you have to close Pokemon Go, open that app, check if people are here. And I remember, what you said earlier of like, you got to show up before the egg hatches because we're doing it right at egg hatch. And when I lived in Milwaukee, that was also like the rule. Mm-hmm. We're gonna be there at egg hatch, and then everyone would get in their car and they would drive to the next one. And then sometimes somebody would be like, well, my friend Janie is 10 minutes away. Are we okay with waiting? And you'd be like, oh, okay. And then it wasn't ever actually 10 minutes. It was always more than 10 minutes.
Yep. Yeah.
But I think the reason I gave up on that, or the reason that was frustrating to me, was because in order to initially find that group, you either had to be in a Discord or a Facebook group. And I remember joining a Facebook group to initially find that. And I remember somebody being like, well, are you in the Facebook group? And I was like, yeah, everyone said meet here at so-and-so time and everything. And they were like, oh, but are you like really in the Facebook group? Like,
oh no,
there was another Facebook group where it was like very clicky, like, oh, you're good enough to make it into our Facebook group. And I was like, I don't want to do this gymnastics of like sucking up or showing up more than enough or being like overly friendly just so I got better treatment at a raid.
Yeah, it smacks of like DKP for old school WoW raiding, stuff like that.
Yeah. And so if I can just open my app and see, and again, I think this probably does actually benefit people who like live in apartments or live in like, I think of like that downtown area in Orlando that has like the rainbow in the middle that like there's like a bunch of apartments there and you can walk around the lake. I don't remember what that's called. I know it's a very popular Pokemon Go spot. But like, I think of that specific area where you have a great area to play Pokemon Go, regardless of where you live there, regardless of if you live there or not. But then you also have all those people in the apartments, which most of those apartments are gyms or stops. And I just think if I lived in that area, I bet this RSVP feature, amazing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wake up in bed, see in 45 minutes that 5 people are going to be at this raid. It's 3 minutes walking from your house. You just walk right over there, do it. Like, seems awesome. Maybe not so much in my area, because my area is a little more spread out. But I think for like downtown areas and stuff, maybe even for like a small city, maybe your not city, maybe your town has like 3 stops and 1 gym, and maybe you'll actually finally realize if people are in that area to RSVP.
Yeah, I want to agree with that, but the more I think about it, the less happy I am with the time frame in which you're expected to do this. Like, in order for that to work, for like an organic sort of like, oh, we're both going to plan to be here. I see that you're interested in this time slot that's actually 13 minutes after the raid pops or whatever, right? That still requires that person to be around, visually see it, within the 45-minute time of it hatching before you're going to do whatever your scheduled raid is, right? I guess 53 minutes or whatever it is, 58. So I don't know. To me, I would almost, and this doesn't work because of the way that the system is set up, but to me, I'd love to have a way to arrange a raid time with a group of people like days ahead of time. Like make a petition and get like 9 other raiders to sign it with you for like, we want a raid between 5 and 6 p.m. of the 5-star boss at this gym that we can all make at that time, but otherwise we can't.
I see your point. I think this is better because I think this is overall better. And I think this is very similar to a strategy that players used to do, which was, I'm going to hop into the gym to the raid to show you I'm there. And then other people who have the app open will be like, oh, one person's in that Articuno. And then you wait till timer gets down and then you back out. Yeah. And then you hop back in and you just keep doing that until enough people show. Japanese people are incredibly good at this. They're very patient. Like if I've ever been into like a Japanese mall, it's like, I don't know if anyone's around playing. Hop in. Okay, one other person's there. Okay, we both hop out with 10 seconds left. Okay, now there's 3 of us. Okay, we're all hopping out. Okay, now there's 4 of us. So I think it feels just like a solution or an extension of that. But I'm sure there are people that have like never done that before. Like, oh, you're just hopping in and out to like trigger to let people know you're there.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure would still happen, but
I mean, probably, especially if you can't be bothered to set up a whole RSVP thing and like look at that and stuff. Sometimes you just want to see, test your luck, roll the dice. Are there people around and are they just waiting for somebody else to hop in first?
Yeah.
I definitely think that'll still exist, but I see what you're saying. Yeah. I always make a point of trying to think of that rural example of like, you're in a city.
I don't. I've given up on those people.
Well, Niantic is too in some ways, but I feel like the game map is much better. I really do wonder how many of those deserts of POIs truly exists in a place where people also do still, because obviously if people aren't around, then there shouldn't be POIs aplenty. But if there's a group of people, the bar for what counts as a POI and people's unlimited creativity around it, that bar has never been lower. And
I say that as a joke, but as some, like, I used to live in Milwaukee, which is like the 26th biggest city in the United States, right? Pretty big. Not as big as Chicago.
Not as big as Chicago.
Chicago, I think, is the third biggest city in the United States. And I remember the first time I went to Boston, and like, because Boston is so historic, like every single rock in that city
it's got a plaque,
is a Pokestop, and because it all has plaques. And I just like realized, even though I'm from a big city, how unfair Pokemon Go is when you go to a city like Boston and you're just like, this is insane. And then you go to somewhere like Osaka in Japan and you're just like, this is absolutely insane. And I think Osaka is just like a better example than Boston, because so many people are walking, so many people are taking public transport. Pokemon is so much more ingrained in that culture than it is in America. So like any single gym at any time frame in Osaka is just like, oh, it's gonna fill.
Yeah, that's true. And Chicago is like that, especially at event periods, too. And I think perhaps I should do some more traveling to these major cities and play Go when there's not an event going on, because whenever we've gone to New York, I feel like that's always the case. But we're also there at GoFest, where there's an influx of 30,000 additional Pokemon trainers all staying in your hotel. Like it's a different experience. But I'm usually traveling for work, so I don't have a chance to like pop out and really play Go. I have difficulty, I think, detaching myself from the event vibe to really assess the city. The only one I have a good handle on is Chicago, because I've been there for non-events just to hang out and do raids while I'm like at a museum or something like that.
Yeah.
So
like I was in Grand Marais for 5 days for a bachelor party, and I was like, if I lived here, I would never play with Go. I just can't. There's nothing.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like I couldn't imagine. Like I think the closest Pokestop was like a 10-minute drive, like a 35-minute walk.
No.
So it's like even if it's like my daily spin, I wouldn't be able to do that every day.
No, and then you'd run out of Pokeballs for your daily spawns.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Like before I leave for Japan, I think I have like 100 Pokeballs now. I could go to Mall America and walk around Mall America twice, which would probably be like 30 minutes, and I would leave with 400 plus Pokeballs.
Yeah.
Instantly. I wouldn't even have to have the app open. I could have the Pokeball Plus. So I don't know. It just like I do feel bad for people who live in the middle of nowhere, but like Pokemon Go is so unfair just purely based on where you're living.
It is. It is. And I feel like that has been reconfirmed for us time and time again. The rural situation is an ongoing conversation, but one of the big tent poles of frustration for when they took remote raids and limited them and increased the price for the raids was a bunch of accessibility issues and concerns.
Yeah.
And there was also like the Pokestop interaction distance thing, that whole conversation around that too, about like literally the question of what about people in wheelchairs? And there is no straight answer to that question, but the implied answer is maybe play another game or work to curate your community in order to make it so that you can access places that have the resources you need, which the second answer is a lot of work, and people will do that work. And a lot of people have done that work, but the possibility, or maybe the sad reality of that first response of maybe this game isn't for you was insulting. Right. But they stuck to that design choice despite this being presented.
Yeah, I do. I don't want to say I agree with Niantic.
No, sure.
Because I never want to, but I do think of like dating apps. Like if you are using, let's just say Hinge or Bumble, and you live in a small city, you are going to have significantly less people to swipe on, versus you living in Chicago.
Yeah.
And like, what do you want Hinge to do? They can't just make more people in your specific town. I guess the argument could be like, well, they need to put more Pokestops there. But the world is very big. I guess that's the point I'm saying, is the world is very big. So it's like,
yeah,
it's almost like an impossible problem to solve.
It is, and I do have a lot of empathy for that. I guess the argument or the issue that I had was the optics of the whole scenario. It was like, oh, this really isn't being addressed, but
right. No, that's true. Yeah, I think there's like the logistical issue.
Yeah.
Of like, there's only 400 people working at Niantic,
something like that. Small indie company.
Like getting them to try to figure out every single small city, and there's a lot of them, is like a logistical nightmare and impossible for that team. And then there's the customer facing issue of maybe just play a different game, which definitely rubs people the wrong way.
It does, but like that's literally like kind of the answer, right? Unless again you have a community that builds the space around you and curates it to accommodate you, which again has happened and is wonderful and should happen. But yeah, I guess if you're not able to do that, right? Like you're saying, they can't address every single small city or a small town to make sure that it's all hunky dory for everybody that chooses to play there and live there and stuff. That is, you have to draw a line somewhere. It's just, it just doesn't look good when you talk about it,
If you want more hookups, you got to move to the city. If you want a better better Pokemon Go experience, you got to move to the city.
That's true. And I think if they did more syncs with the map more often, I think we would also be in better shape. But yeah. I think it's been like over a year or two since that last one happened.
I thought they said it was supposed to like auto update, and then it never really did.
Who knows, man? Who knows? Who really knows? Before we move on, I do just have to clarify that when you have standards as high as I do, it doesn't matter where you are, but Hinge is always a small rural town. Just saying. Okay. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to our last news thing here, which I'm actually the most excited to talk about. Evolve your GoFest experience in Jersey City with the all-new Premier Access add-on. Trainers, we are thrilled to kick off celebrations at Pokemon GoFest Jersey City in a few short weeks. Today, we are introducing an add-on enhancement for your park session. The all-new Premier Access add-on will offer an enhanced event experience for trainers while they enjoy gameplay at Liberty State Park. This add-on is exclusively available for ticket holders attending Pokemon Go Fest 2025 Jersey City. Available starting today at the Niantic Live Events ticketing site. I think it might be sold out.
I think it was only sold out for Saturday.
Oh, okay. But it is selling out is the thing here.
Saturday sold out within like an hour.
Yep. So what exactly is this? Let's talk about it. There's actually quite a bit to it. First of all, price US $100. The park session enhancements include but are not limited to the following. Okay, there's a whole list of items that you get with this, which is actually great. I'll run through it really quick, but that's not the interesting part, I don't think.
Right.
Yeah. Trainers will also obtain voucher codes for the following in-game items. The codes will be sent via email no later than Thursday, June 5th, 2025. 100 Pokeballs, 100 Great Balls, 100 Ultra Balls, 50 Silver Pineapple Berries, 100 Super Incubators. I'm already there. 10 Lucky Eggs, 10 Incense, 10 Star Pieces, 10 Lure Modules. You get 10 of every Lure Module, actually. 100 Premium Battle Passes, 20 Max Particle Packs, and 5 Max Mushrooms. Normally, we on this show will dissect it a little bit and say, is this worth the value? And on its face, all of this in shop, if you were to buy these items, even in bundles, the value is immense. They're giving you a ton of stuff for $100.
Yeah.
But here's the interesting bit. You also will get expedited entry to Pokemon Center pop-up store to keep you on the go, so you will spend less time in line. Entry to the Premier Access Lounge featuring upgraded restrooms, portable charger kiosks with lockers and seating to recharge yourself for your next adventure. And then and an exclusive lapel pin collectible available for pickup at the Premier Access Lounge. Limit 1 pin per Premier Access add-on holder. Okay. There's a limited number of these, which we already talked about because they are selling out. So hopefully you can grab one if you want one. And you're going. The pin looks nice. I like the art on it. It's cool.
It's cool.
Yeah. Okay, so I've got thoughts on it, but Steve, I'm curious to hear yours. You know, this on top of like the Raid Lover and the Eggthusiast and the extra play days and the city play add-ons, all of that stuff. If you buy everything, that is quite a bit of money. Is this worth it? If you didn't get the other add-ons, do you think you'd get this thing? Like, where are you at?
I think I've always thought that the raid bundle add-on was worth it if you do raids, right? You're getting like 18 a day for 3 days, or is it 4 days this time? I don't know if you're getting them on Thursday.
I would hope so.
It was 4 days for Osaka, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday for New Jersey. So I don't know.
There's the Thursday City Play Day.
So are you getting the raid passes on that day then?
I would imagine so. I think it would just be treated like any other City Play Day, and those bonuses apply. So you're getting, let's just say 60 raid passes, because I'm running down to 15 and I want to do math easy. You're getting 60 raid passes for $15. So if you're planning to do raids, I always thought that add-on was 100% worth it. Oh, yeah.
I always thought the incubator one was kind of a scam.
That's where you're wrong.
Because you're getting like half egg distance.
Yeah.
But they're not giving you any incubators.
Right.
And that's where I always felt like this is a scam.
No comment. Egg actually might be a scam, but it also might be the best part of the game, in my opinion.
Oh boy. What was the other add-on? There was one more add-on, was there? Oh, just the city play.
The city play stuff. Yeah.
So if I would always personally buy the raid one, but I guess that I could easily see people being like, I don't care about raids. I'll just do my one Zacian and I'm done. I get it. Or people just don't like the time investment of a raid. This $100, I can't play devil's advocate. It's an amazing deal. It is I think the best deal in Pokemon Go history. If we're just looking at the items. Because 100 super incubators without a bundle, if you just go into the store, is $200.
$200.
And 100 premium raid passes is without the bundles $100. And then I think lure modules are close to $2 each?
Something like that, yeah.
And you're getting 50 of those?
Yeah.
60. You're getting 50 of them. I mean, there's no real value to Pokeballs, Great Balls, Ultra Balls. Max mushrooms are like $2, but they've been a scam since day one.
The particle packs as well. Same.
Oh, a max mushroom is $4? It's even more of a scam than I thought. I personally think max mushrooms are the biggest scam that Niantic has introduced.
Yeah, I still have never had to use the one that I got.
Yeah,
still never had to. Okay, that's great with the value, but what about this Premier Access Lounge? That's, I think, the Pokemon Center pop-up store. There's not a whole lot to say about that. You will spend a lot of time in line if you don't have this. So getting this is great. It's just like a fast pass at Disney. Same value.
Here's what I've been saying for years. I would, because there's been so many people. I'm sure there's a ton of people that listen to your show that have never been to a GoFest or Unova Tour or Safari Zone or whatever. And I remember when they switched from like Kanto Tour and Johto Tour to like an in-person tour, people felt that was really unfair and it should just be like a worldwide thing, which it kind of is. It's just watered down.
Yeah.
And I always compared it to going to a concert. And people were like, that's not a good analogy. And I was like, what do you mean? You're going to spend all this money to go to like when you were Young Fest You're going to see Blink-182 or Fall Out Boy or Green Day or whatever big emo punk rock band you want to see. And you don't have to go. You can just play their music on Spotify for free. Sometimes you can even just get the concert stream on like Twitch or YouTube or something, and that's a different experience. But the way that I always felt Pokemon Go made it feel like a concert of getting up early, getting a hotel, traveling, doing this. And this add-on is just literally the concert experience. This is what concerts have been doing for the last couple of years. Like EDC or When You Were Young literally has an add-on for better bathrooms. They literally have an add-on for a separate sitting area where when you get your $30 hot dog, you can now, instead of going to the free peasant bench that probably has melted ice cream all over it that no one has cleaned, you can now go to the premium lounge, which probably has a hopefully slightly cleaner and slightly more free bench to sit at. This is 100% just the concert experience. They're just bringing it to GoFest.
So I agree with that on face value. I do. But after having been to these events, I would say the thing that makes this different is the lack of existence of that free bench with ice cream melted on it to sit on. Because there has been, especially at Randall's Island, but other fests and tour events too, seating, lack of shade, those have both been huge issues.
Yeah.
That we've had. And so I think, to me, like, gating something that should be part of the base offering feels bad. So like, in a scenario, right? And thank goodness this isn't happening in August. Thank goodness. Because if this had happened last year at Randall's Island, they had sold premium lounges and they had seating and stuff for everybody. And people were literally having medical emergencies like on the regular because of the immense heat, humidity, and sun that we had last year.
Yeah. Osaka had this too, that year that I went to Osaka, because it was 111 degrees.
Dude, oh my God. That would feel and look really bad, because there was not like any seating arguably on Randall's whatsoever. Right.
There were picnic tables on the baseball field side, but not a lot.
There were not nearly enough. Yeah. So that's the part that worries me, because if there was a free melted ice cream covered version of that thing that you could sit on, I would say no harm, no foul, of course, then just sit in your ice cream and at least you have a seat. Right. But that wasn't the case at previous events.
I think this has been a problem at all GoFests.
Yeah.
I agree with your issue. I think that can you just rent picnic tables? Can you just like
I know, right?
order picnic tables in? I've always, like, when Niantic asks for feedback, whether that's like directly asking us for feedback, which they've done before, or through that like survey they send, like, thanks for coming to GoFest, what feedback do you have? I have always given the feedback that there should be 6 team tents, not 3. There should be 2 Team Mystics, 2 Team Instincts, 2 Team Valor. Because at least being at these events, whether that's California or Seattle or Chicago or New York or Osaka or Sendai, there is enough room for 3 more huge tents.
Yeah, there definitely is.
There's picnic tables under the tents. There's the music. There's whatever. So it's like you should double your tents, and then also you should just bring more seating, because you can't plant trees all of a sudden, but you can at least put up 3 more big tents.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Yeah, I think that is probably a good solution. Then we're starting to get into like event budgeting though too, because I can't imagine putting one of those tents up is very cheap. It's probably got to be rather expensive. But we're not asking for much. It doesn't have to be all that done up or anything like that. It just has to block.
You know what they did in Madrid that they've never done at another GoFest? They had the Pokemon Center. At the start of the line, they had a giant bucket with like 40 umbrellas in it. And then at the end of the line, they had a bucket where you could drop the umbrellas off. So while you got in line, you picked up an umbrella with UV protection, and you waited with an umbrella to then get inside the Pokemon Center.
That's great. I just don't think we'll ever see that in the States.
Fantastic.
Yeah, no, that's a brilliant way to do that.
I mean, you could maybe argue that somebody would steal an umbrella, but you put the umbrella down at the end before you walk into the shop.
I don't know. I just, in my head, especially like thinking about like at New York, I just see people picking those up, smashing them, trying
using
to steal
them as
them, or a weapon, right? They're very big on what they do and don't allow into the parks and stuff like that. So that makes sense. But no, that is a solution. And it is frustrating that solutions like that exist. And then instead of having those, we get something like this, right? Where you can pay extra and then you're going into a squeaky clean bathroom.
Well, assuming so.
Yeah. I'd be so interested to see how many people have access to this.
Yeah, since Saturday. So I do like this. I think it's like whatever. It's like get your dollar. It's like Niantic didn't think of this. This is already happening at EDC when you were young, Coachella, all that stuff. If you were to tell me you're going to get a nicer bathroom, you're going to get access to a locker, and you're going to maybe get seating, like, would I pay for that? Maybe, but I think in combination with all the items, 100% an amazing deal. I mean, those items cost Niantic literally nothing, but as a player value, like, yes, I will definitely pay $100 for 100 raid passes and 100 super incubators, because that in itself is $300. My only problem with it is, like EDC or like when you were young, you are there all day for usually 1 to 2 days, where this, you're only there for 4 hours.
That's true.
So, like, again, I still think the value is there because of the items, but of your 4 hours in the park, how much are you spending in this lounge?
Yeah, that's true. It is almost like if something goes wrong, you have a more comfortable place to be, which is not a great thing to say, obviously, but that might be the reality of it. Yeah, that is a good point, because it isn't an all day thing. It is only half the day. I would
assume you would get access after the fact, right?
Probably.
But like, why would you need to be there? You have no spawns.
So I didn't check the sold out. Was Saturday AM or Saturday PM sold out, or was just Saturday sold out?
All of Saturday sold out. Yeah.
If they're AM and PM specific and they have hard limits, I'd imagine they try to move you along if it's not your day part anymore.
Right. Like, I could imagine, like what is the scenario Niantic is thinking of? You're getting to GoFest at 10 a.m. Is it, or 8 a.m.? I don't know when it starts. You're getting there at 10 a.m. You're going to the Pokemon Center. You're fast tracking through the Pokemon Center. You're buying a giant Pikachu plush. You're going to the lounge. You're putting that Pikachu plush in the locker.
I think so.
Great. Paying for convenience there.
Yep.
Then you're going out. You're playing a little bit. You're buying a $30 hot dog. You're taking it back to the lounge to sit down to eat. You use the fancy bathroom, and then you're done for the day. Like, I don't think that whole experience itself is worth $100. I think because they're merging the two, it is.
I would agree. Yeah.
Because if you're at EDC all day in Florida weather or Vegas weather, which I think those are the two places EDC is, you're probably using the bathroom more than once a day.
I hope so, if you're drinking enough water, yeah.
Yeah, and you're probably eating once or twice for the lounge. And sometimes that lounge access gives you special access to like a different stage so you can see the bands, at a different angle. But I don't think it's bad, but I think you make a good point of, if this is existing, what about the other people? Like, there's still a tent issue, I think. There's still a seating issue, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Water was a problem at Randall's Island, but water wasn't a problem at the Rose Bowl.
No, it wasn't. And that was definitely just an infrastructure issue with water pressure at Randall's Island. 100%. The water pressure was just so low that it caused so many issues. Yeah, and that was the problem. That's why there were lines, because you had to stand there for 3 minutes just holding your bottle under there, trying to get the drips to fill the bottle. But yeah, at the Rose Bowl, it was so quick. It was like pouring a beer almost. Like it was just like, shh.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah, it was like really, really fast. So I don't think that issue would have existed had the water pressure been better at Randall's Island, for sure.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing, though, too, that I just thought of was that if lots of people are doing this, that just means that there's less competition for those beanbag chairs and other stuff in the team lounges. So that seating scenario will improve, too. So it could be better for everybody overall.
Yeah, I think another positive is if they're getting an easy $100 out of people, does that give them more of a budget to then put up another tent for?
Yeah.
I don't know how much it costs to throw up a tent, but
I have no idea. I couldn't even begin to estimate, man. I can't even like throw a 10 grand. I don't know, man. Like, yeah, no,
you need like union workers to do it, and they have a budget, and
Yep.
Safety concerns.
So yeah, I think this will probably just shake out to be better for everybody. That's probably the case. It's just,
okay,
you're getting away with it.
You're a normal customer. Niantic has never talked to you before.
Yeah.
They have never offered you a flight or a hotel.
Right.
Would you just come out and pay $100?
No.
You wouldn't do this.
No.
But you bought the incubators in.
I did. I think the asking price of $100, even if I can justify it, is difficult for me to stomach. Because I would arrive, I would be like trying to justify in my head because I want to get it, right? I do. I know myself. But then I would have followed our flow of conversation in my head over days of rumination, and I would have arrived at the whole like, but I'm only there for 4 hours to actually take advantage of this. And I know the items are its own argument. That's great. I understand that, but
I don't even I don't think I would use the locker. Because I don't think I would buy anything at Pokemon Center because I don't think there's ever been anything at Pokemon Center pop-up that isn't online. But I understand why people would do that.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to carry anything all day.
So you would use the locker? Or?
I wouldn't use the locker.
Okay.
I would bring exactly what I need.
Under no circumstance.
I would like a better bathroom.
Yeah, of course. But how good are we talking? They should have told us.
That's true. We don't have pictures.
I want pictures. Yeah.
I think I would buy this and not really use those features, maybe minus the bathroom, because I think two things. One is I usually give Pokemon Go $200 a year. I usually spend $100 at the start of the year, and then I spend $100 around GoFest, and that equates to what, like $15-$16 a month if you do 200 divided by 12.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And I don't like to do the little like $10 of Pokecoin, $20 in Pokecoins. I just do the 100 max thing. That's good for 6 months. But I think Pokecoins have lost their value.
Oh, tariffs
with like just ticketed items.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to give it $100 for the summer, I think this covers everything I need it to do.
Yeah, from that perspective, that's pretty great. Yeah, especially if you're
because if I just get the $100 of Pokecoins, I'm not nearly getting all of this stuff.
No, that's true. But this, I think, only applies if you are the sort of person that does everything, right? Because how many people play this game every day but have never used a lure module because they forget to use them? Or they're that's not their play style, right? But like you or I, we do everything, right? So this is, I will use literally everything in this list, over time. So yeah, that's a good argument. I don't know. I feel like I'd so much rather go for the other additions that I know will be running for my entire trip rather than this, this portion that I will only have access to for like 4 hours will bother me. I think too much in order to justify this. I don't know. Yes. Yeah. No, you're challenging me here. I don't know. That's a difficult call. Okay. So here's what we'll do. I would be very interested to hear, dear listener, if this would appeal to you as somebody who plays the game, doesn't do a podcast, doesn't regularly travel, if you are hearing this and you're like, yeah, if I was going to this event, I would, or I absolutely would not go for this, send us your thoughts at mail@gocastpodcast.com. I'd love to hear them.
Okay, let's be clear here. I don't think it's because we do a podcast or anything. Like I say that because like I had Joe Sarabi on my show.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, Joe, do you like buy every ticket to like Pokemon Go stuff?" And he goes, "Well, I have to because I run a website." Yeah. And I was like, I don't think that's a good answer. Like, what do you feel obligated to do? The community day tickets they're not providing like a unique experience that you need to report on. You know what I mean? Like, it's already data mined. You can just say, I buy them because I like them. That's a totally better answer, in my opinion, than saying, well, I have to buy them because I run a podcast.
I'm not saying that we have to. I'm saying I think we're more likely to.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I'm not very likely to get.
You have a much stronger handle on your spending in this game than I do. That's clear. When you said
I do, like I still
a year.
I bought the $70 incubator bundle for Unova Tour.
Yeah,
to get the Sigilif, the Bouffalant, and whatever.
It was the same day that you ate the banana, like the year prior. You ate the banana.
Correct.
Yes, that's right.
I think I still have 34 of those, however many super incubators. 30 because it was 50 normal and then 50 super, right?
Yes.
And so I have 34 super incubators still, and that was back in February.
Dude,
because I only use my super incubators for things that I like really want to. grind for.
I'm out, dude. I'm out. I've had to re-up since then.
Like I don't need a hatch no Fido. I don't need a hatch no Rookie D. What else did they put in eggs? I don't need to hatch those.
I don't know. I don't even know what's in eggs, man. I just keep hatching them, dude. It's just get me out of here, dude. Free me from this prison.
Yeah, I can make 100 super incubators last all year. Okay. My question though is, there's no Paris and there's no Osaka. So is this really an American thing with like concert culture they're pulling from?
It could be. I think it's probably just also the easiest market for them to test something like this and get a definitive return. Especially since like it's the same place, arguably for the third time. I know it's not Randall's Island, but it's the probably same number of influx of people. And so they would be able to easily compare this to whatever the results were from the previous 2 years of GoFest in New York. Yeah. I think that makes sense. But yeah, I would also be interested if it's like a culture thing. They're like, yeah, no, Europeans would never go for this. They're too smart. And they're like, let's run it in the American market. Let's see if they'll go for it. Right. And we will.
Yeah. I wonder, I think this still sells out if you don't offer the Pokemon Center, the lounge, and the bathrooms. I feel like this still.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think you're right. The argument for the value is just, it's too objectively good. You can't argue against it.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well. Okay.
I mean, we didn't even talk about the pin. What's a pin nowadays? $15?
Yeah, it's a nice enamel pin. Yeah, it is.
So really, you're paying $15 for a pin, and then you're paying $85 for everything else.
And that's worth it for the bathroom.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on a locker. Every time I've been to a GoFest, I've always been like, man, I'd love to have a locker right now.
Yeah.
No, I've never thought that. No.
I would like to have a locker at an event.
It depends. I mean, like you and I are usually in a position where we have another space that we could put stuff if we wanted to, but a locker that actually has like a lock on it that I have a combo for, whatever, would bring me a lot of peace of mind.
Yeah. How much are throwing up lockers? How much is throwing up a wall of lockers versus a tent?
I wonder if some of this was already there and that's why they're doing this.
Oh, like something on the New Jersey play area has like a wall of lockers?
Yeah, I wonder if that's the case.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if they ever had it at Mall of America, there are lockers at Mall of America.
That's true. And they should do it at Mall of America. Yeah. It's a great place. Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's all that. All right. We're gonna wrap it up, I think, here. So Steve, thank you so much for hopping on and filling in this week. It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I'm so happy I got to talk about premium bathrooms.
That's right. Only top-notch content here at GOCast, that's for sure. And if you want more top-notch content, you all should go listen to Steve's show. It's super effective. I've been on there a couple of times, so if you want to have a nice transition period before you get completely sucked into his catalog, those are options. Yeah. So where can people find you and your show and all that good stuff?
Pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts under It's Super Effective. Otherwise, I'm on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, all PKMNCAST, just short for Pokemon Podcast. PokemonPodcast.com. I bought that domain 15 years ago. No one had it.
Jeez, how much was it? Was it cheap?
Oh yeah, it was like GoDaddy, like $7.99.
Nice. You got to get in there early, man. Got in there early.
If it ever lapses,
you're so screwed.
Yeah.
They'll snatch that right up, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right. So, dear folks, if you would like to send an email or voicemail for our show next week when we're back to the norm, you can send your email to mail@gocastpodcast.com, or our phone number is 262-586-7717. If you're a patron, thank you so much for helping support the show. That's Patreon, patreon.com/GoCast podcast. And your support makes a lot of things possible here. I would be in trouble if I tried to list everything. It's a lot. And that's it. We'll see you next time for episode 325. Yeah, 325. Until then, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.